During this module, I explored various aspects of design and produced outcomes for each assigned task. In this video, I will take you through my design processes whilst reflecting on my work. Task A, Background Research. I started this project with background research on Fedrigoni and found that they produce quality papers for printing, publishing, labels, bookbinding, packaging and paper converting. The brand emphasises creativity and sustainability whilst highlighting the importance of storytelling through their papers. Then I investigated their available paper ranges and broke each down into their key characteristics and made note of any USP they may have. I made note of initial ideas and selected the Savile Row, Woodstock and Ispiro ranges to move forward with to the proposal stage. My proposals displayed visual mood boards and initial sketches accompanied by explanations that addressed form, goals, target audience and presentation via both traditional and digital channels. Task B, a reflection. This task asked for a report reflecting on the brief and my proposals, which concluded in the following deductions. I knew that Fedrigoni's brand mission, values and promise should be upheld and encourage the consumer to think of Fedrigoni paper as the first and only choice to meet their paper needs. I identified that the design problem is finding a way to promote Fedrigoni's paper as an essential of high-end branding that enhances the consumer experience. Finally, I assessed the opportunities for innovative thinking and determined that the final campaign needed to emphasise the paper itself and showcase the versatility and USP in an interactive, memorable way that created an experience for the consumer. Concluding, I evaluated each of my 3 proposals against the brief and the previously mentioned criteria. I decided to move forward with the Woodstock range since the proposal had the most creative concept with room for innovation that suited the brand and brief requirements. The concept revolves around a royal court theme with 4 characters, the King, Queen, Jack and Joker. The characters and theme will be seen throughout the campaign and will accompany a gift of Fedrigoni branded playing cards. Task C, Reading the Brief. For this task, I wrote a short report on the client's expectations of the designer and considered if my proposal met the brief and the requirements set by Fedrigoni or alienated the client by going off brief. From this report, I determined 4 outcome criteria to evaluate the success of my campaign. These were: does the campaign adhere to Fedrigoni's criteria and effectively encompass their brand values? Does the final campaign engage and cater to the target audience? Does the campaign showcase the versatility and scope of the paper's capabilities creatively and innovatively? Is the final campaign cohesive with unity across elements? Once I had decided my criteria, I created 2 varied concept boards that addressed my criteria in different ways. I used a colour key system for both boards that easily linked elements to one of the criteria. Perhaps there was a clearer way to display this since the boards are a little messy. Task D, the assumptions. Before bringing the concept to the production phase, I considered any assumptions made about the objectives, audience and deliverables. I also decided to integrate shock, empathy and humour into my campaign to keep the consumer engaged. Shock is seen in the pop-up and interactive elements, empathy in the time and effort put into the consumer journey and experience, and finally humour is represented in the Joker character, the slogan of the campaign, "Our paper is no joker," and the playful interactive elements. From this, I created a final round of sketching. Task E, the finished presentation phase. I started by creating the 4 main characters of my campaign. I made mood boards for each and then created initial sketches that I fleshed out and digitised. After 3 rounds of colouring attempts, I landed on a palette of blue, red, gold, black and white. This was sampled from the colours available from Fedrigoni. I then created a base illustration to guide the box construction and sourced tutorials that would help me since I have never attempted something like this before. I made multiple mock-ups with various types of paper and utilised a trial and error approach to elements so that my mistakes could be made with prototypes. From these prototypes, I found what weights I needed, how much I needed, which colours and final measurements. This information was invaluable to the final production. I found many examples of layouts that I liked and broke them down to their underlying grids. I then created the final box, which took me around 34 hours. This is because I would print elements with different layouts and colour variations to see which performed best in the context of the whole box. I kept the printed layout simple as to not overwhelm the recipient with information since the box itself is quite decadent. To conclude, through my thorough research, experimentation and creativity, I have produced an outcome I feel meets all criteria of the brief. Illustration is my niche, and so I enjoyed this part a lot, and to my surprise, despite never dabbling with paper crafts, I enjoyed the production process of the box immensely. My biggest challenge was adhering to the word count throughout this process. Since I had so much material to annotate, choosing priorities was really tough. I added new skills to my repertoire whilst applying those I am best at. This allowed me to grow and complete tasks to my highest standards and ability.